What's happening, y'all? Good morning, good morning. It's your main man, Coach, in the building. It's day 2 of training camp, and already there's been a lot of conversation, a couple of good interviews yesterday. I was checking out Han's recap yesterday evening on Facebook. I get my sources from a lot of places, man. Han on Facebook, Begley and Macri on Twitter for the most part. You know what I mean? And pretty much whatever else I could find. And then there's, Nick and Trey and them. And then there's Knicks Fan TV. And there's just a lot of really quality outlet sources that are not the beat writers. And so there's a lot of good Nick information, positive Nick information out there, and you don't really have to search and deep dive that hard. Just go on Twitter and just look around. You will see the bull. You're going to see the bull. But there's more than the bull that's out there. So real quick, everybody was talking about RJ yesterday and how RJ wants to go to the playoffs and really believes in his coach and has had serious coaching before, which I don't know why we forget that he went to Duke and had, Coach Krzyzewski. I mean, it's like folk just want him to be a bad player because he's a Knick, and that's really sad, because if he went anywhere else, you know what I mean, 9 times out of 10, he would have been on a rookie list somewhere, you know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, he would be looked at a heck of a lot differently than he is simply because he wears our blue and orange. And that's not right. That's part of this culture change that has to change. And part of the change that has to occur is, all right, so RJ said that, right? How come I saw, it was a small, it wasn't huge Twitter contingent, but I did see folk at the fan base trying to knock the kid because he said he wanted to go to the playoffs. Like, that's on us. That's our bad, not his bad. We want players that want and feel that way. Why do we go, oh, but you ain't making the playoffs, though? He. Did you need to make that joke? Do we need to continue to make these silly jokes? Do we, as the Knick fan base, need to self-medicate with poor taste in humor simply because we feel like if we do anything else, the trolls will go after us? Trolls keep coming after me, and I keep talking what I talk because it's about the New York Knickerbockers. It's not about my ego. It's not about your ego. It's not about jokes. It's about our team. And if we want our team to be taken seriously, we need to start believing in this culture and taking it seriously as well. We are the voice box of our organization. We are the ones who make the noise and buy the tickets and watch the shows and go to the games and buy the apparel, XYZ. And quite honestly, if you're not a Knick fan, stop tweeting about us. If you're not a Knicks fan at this point, you're trying to gain fame by using the Knicks in your tweets and articles. Period. Y'all don't have no reason to wax poetically about the Knicks. So, John Hollinger, you know what? It's a shame that, you are so petty that you gotta cheer that the Knicks don't have a Christmas game. We didn't have a Christmas game last year neither. So, stop looking for reasons to laugh at us that aren't funny and that aren't actually even on us or jokes. I mean, they got good teams playing on Christmas. We don't win no championship for playing on Christmas. So playing on Christmas, while nice, isn't the end-all be-all. And, I mean, again, y'all, we control the narrative. So let's do like how I'm doing. Let's control this narrative. Y'all will not take Knick power because y'all are tired. Period. Now, that I've vented that nonsense, Alan said something interesting yesterday in regards to Thibs and Mitch. He feels that Mitch actually might have bought into his hype a little bit. And that maturity level has to grow. We need Mitch to take that maturity next step, not necessarily on the court next step, but a mental next step. And when he does that, he may very well end up being elite. And I do believe that Thibs sees something in him enough that he wants to invest that time into growing him up. And I do believe that's part of the reason why Nerlens Noel is here. Nerlens ain't here to be his backup and carry his lunch pail. You know what I mean? He's here to try to win a starting job himself. And I actually do like that competition for Mitch. Nothing should be given, so Mitch should not automatically be the starter. I do believe he'll take it, but he'll only take it if he takes his workouts seriously, if he takes, his professionalism and his career seriously. I don't think there will be a problem. But here's the thing. If he doesn't, then we still have a solid backup in Nerlens, and Mitch will have that time to figure it out. So again, people were waxing all kinds of, the Knicks did terrible in free agency. No, we actually didn't do terribly. We just didn't do splashes. There's a big difference with that. You know what I mean? We're not a championship team, but there's like 25 teams in the league that aren't championship teams. So that isn't really a thing to me, like at all. It's nothing to worry about right now. And so we got Mitch needing to grow up a little bit. We got RJ ready to take the reins. He likes Obi. We didn't really get a chance to hear from Obi, but we may actually hear from like Obi and him today. Dennis Smith Jr. Dennis Smith Jr. was a lottery pick a few years ago. He's had some skill set issues, but he's also had a lot of emotional dramas in his life. He's had a lot of sadness and mourning to deal with, and that stuff could really put you in a bad place mentally. And then on top of it, with his performance on the court, all the jokes, all the mean-spirited tweets, memes, etc., that happen in Nicklandia, it's like we forget that these people are human beings too. They're not just ball players. They're human freaking beings with emotions and feelings. And when things don't go right in their world, just like when things don't go right in ours, sometimes we don't react, the way that others would want us to react, or even professionally sometimes. But that's what, having that space to heal mentally is wildly important. And I feel like, based on his words, he feels healthy, which he's been having some nagging issues for a while now as well. So it's great that he feels healthy, because again, one of the little things is about the mentality stuff, the mental stuff, is if your body keeps breaking down on you, no matter how hard you want to push, that weighs on you as well. So it seems like Nick's Twitter is coming around on Dennis, and we're rooting for him, and that's what's up. You know what I mean? And now we just got to stop knocking other players on our roster because you don't like them. I mean, gosh. 4 years and people are still talking about Frank Ntilikina. Stop. Let it go. Jeez. And let it go with Randall as well. I mean, in the day, we may or may not like certain things, but the guy still suits up for us. So all this, but yeah, as soon as Randall gone, Randall gone. Dude, it's wild disrespectful. I mean, again, I get it. The spin moves, the dribbles, the not passing, you know what I mean? I get it. He needs some work. But he also has a very strong potential to be a 2010 guy. Night in, night out. And you don't trade that for peanuts if you're going to trade it. So Guys, stop listening to folk that don't actually know and just want to fan the flames of nonsense, man. Look at the team professionally as a fan. Look at the team professionally. You know, I mean, it's hard to say take your feelings out of it because we're all feelings. This video right here is all feelings. But it's like, who wants to perform for people that talk smack about them every day? Who wants to die for that loose ball knowing somebody gonna make a meme about it in a negative light the next day? Not saying that, you know, he shouldn't perform because we talk smack, but again, I just go back to how people feel. When you go to work every day and you hear your bosses, not even just your bosses, you hear your coworkers talking smack about you every day, regardless what you do. After a while, that gets on your nerves, and it will affect your performance. You know, I feel like the same thing with Kevin. I feel like, a lot of last year, we ended up as the Knicks, is the organization, ended up in their head a lot. You know what I mean? And now, during this offseason, in the beginning of training camp, we got to get out of our head. We can't keep staying in our heads like this. You know what I mean? It's just not good for performance. It's not good for your mental health or any of that. So I'm really looking at all of this. And my last point, I'm sorry, there's a lot going on in my head. I was on Twitter this morning before I did the video, and I try not to do that because then I end up with whatever the topic of the morning was stuck in my head too. But end of the day, I hope we hear from Frank today. I hope we hear from Randall. I hope we hear from Mitch. I hope we hear from Obi. You know, I want to hear from Woody and some of the other assistant coaches about what they see and what they think. I think that'll be interesting for today as well. But listen, we don't have a Christmas game. Oh well. We're not tanking because that doesn't make sense. Guys, the last 4 drafts, did we get a number 1? The last 5 drafts even. Did we get a number 1 in any of those drafts? Or did we end up toward the bottom end of the lottery almost every one of those years? So y'all want to tell me how great next year's draft is? They're not really, they just started playing their season. We don't know how good these guys are. Remember Cole Anthony, when he came out of high school, he was highly touted. Then he played in college and didn't play well and ended up getting drafted 15th overall, which is still great. But for all intents and purposes, his stock dropped. So let's just calm down on waxing poetic about kids that may or may not be good in the league because they're still in college. And let's concentrate on the folk that actually made it to the league, because I don't care how much you want to pretend that these players suck. It takes a whole hell of a lot to get to the NBA. It takes a whole lot. It's not easy. And these are the best players in the world that make it. So I'm not really ready to throw in the towel on a 3-year Kevin Knox because he had a rough year last year along with everybody else on the team. I can't do it. Can't do it. Anyway, I've been waxing enough. Don't forget the show is tonight at 9. Ian Begley, Prince Poe, The Candid Corner, Mr. Lewis in the building. We're going to have some fun. I'll see you guys on Twitter later. Have a great Wednesday. Peace out, fam.